my dime.
Well, it is. You got to agree.
I have been busy. It's Patrick about it.
It's my turn back.
I get a lot of
Well, that's, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why.
All right. I didn't prepare a prayer tonight. Anybody want to volunteer and jump in?
Mine's pretty elementary, so
You got one?
not me. I was getting made fun of for mine.
Has the pilgrims landed yet?
Yeah, but I didn't prepare one.
Marvin's out here.
Okay.
We'll have some fun. You'll be stay here with my kids. Oh, yeah, I already did.
You're sitting wherever. Have your seat, sit down.
Hey, Edmund. How's it going?
Great sale. You need to partner up with some of the bidders on You need to partner in with some of the bidders on our cattle. Like, you could have gotten in with Jeremy Yost and
I got one minute.
John Lee on Abby's side. It'd been cheaper. And they called almost
I've asked him right now, did you buy stands? Well, stands went higher.
That was just Emma. Abby's was very reasonable. You could have gotten in on that, boosted a nice little. Yeah.
What?
It's not as good as 250.
That was better than the Grand Champion.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
They're better than the Grand Champion.
There's something, all right.
Brandon, number one. Anonymous. Does he know that it's especially since
That might as well work.
tree will happen about every year, so right there's that.
Yeah.
Show. Any word on when is he gonna make it back?
He told me last week he tried to make it back.
So I just talked to someone yesterday. Tried to let the circle. I was about to say he's not here yet.
That's what I'm thinking.
He was on vacation or something. I didn't get married in church. So, 20 years. Brian, because I mean, you're good around Northwest. Not great around the clock.
Well, there is no office in
No, you said he's not trying to make it back unless he's had trouble. He's out first.
Road and Bridge. Hey, Paul, do you want to handle Road and Bridge if Weber's not here?
Sure.
You were there.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing.
Nothing on the senior citizens tax bill. Right. I just, I'm not gonna call that.
It's a good for it, doesn't lie, I just walked up there. I can't read handwriting, like I just don't I can read it.
Well, Mike's on the committee, but so are you.
Slow down.
Mike said he would.
Right at the start.
Good. Keep busy. Sure. Next Monday.
I said,
Yeah, I don't care where he's at.
Hi, Rick. How's it going?
Front row seat, huh?
Why not?
Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not like church, right? So everybody sits in the back, you gotta get front.
Right, it's not like school.
That's right, yeah. Hi.
Morning. I was hoping it wasn't at night.
You know what? Either or. The third works for me, if everyone else wants to do it.
Where's Beverly Brandon?
Earlier is always better.
Earlier is better to keep your office open here at 30, but I wouldn't have any problem getting out of the office.
Okay, it's all about, it's all
Hey,
about.
guess what? Hey, I won't do mine either, so, you know, I will be good on that. Yeah.
No, well, what do you guys want? I don't care.
Let's go to 8:30.
8:30?
8:30 Monday morning. And you'll send out a, you send an email.
I will, for sure.
Oh, there's 2 resolutions on 3 resolutions on that.
Oh, that's good.
Why isn't sheriff on,
We canceled it, remember?
that's right, so there's no sheriff. It's on there.
Yes, they have a house sold, but they haven't closed yet, so they're closing. Yeah, they're from they were originally from ended up getting 500 on his ass. But I think they're retired. And I think they're just coming back, from my understanding. Yeah, it must be. Because I was really ready to work with Howard, and then I thought better do some business with my family. Yeah. Because the two houses I bought before, I always worked with, with Mel Boyer. And just because we always mowed lawns for him, it's probably here. Yep.
Because he went over. He spoke to Howard.
I'll be building first, yeah. We were digging the pond out. You might have seen that and think we were getting ready to put it in. Yeah. Well, at first it was probably a lot shorter than that. I think it was only about 5, 6 feet. We had silted in over there.
Okay, awesome. Mike, well, I know he was out of town. He was trying to get back, but I don't know if he made back or not. Got about 5 minutes. Is everybody who wanted to sign up to speak signed up on the podium there? Oh, let's give it till 7 o'clock, or pretty close anyway.
These guys think they're on. They're not, baby. I've seen them do it
I'm in the company. How much are they?
They're just
I mean, you're used to like that. Price match. I got to see your head. For a ginormous one? Well, I thought I was going to sort that. Not hearing you right. Do you get a discount?
Borrowed my headphones.
Oh, correct.
I know.
They're broadcasting on Facebook Live, I think, or something like that.
I'm not.
That is some people watching on Facebook Live. Well, yeah, I suppose so. Public comments. It's just public comments. This is I don't suppose that's what they have in mind. I don't understand.
What's your first year? Princess color white. What, green? No, I just asked and I
Did everyone get signed up for public comment? Everybody signed up? Okay, we're going to be starting here in just a minute or so.
No.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Bell.
Here.
Coffee.
Here.
Daly.
Here.
Degler. Here. Eads. Here. Marvin. Purdy. Here. Sanders.
Here.
Shook.
Here.
Weber. Zuhon.
Here.
Metzger.
Yes. Okay, we'll have the pledge, the flag, and then invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we're so thankful to you for this beautiful evening that you've given us. Dear Lord, we pray that your will be done in this room tonight for the best of this county, and just help us all to unite and agree and see that we're all human and have hearts, and that we will come together, and above all else, that we'll love you, dear Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, the minutes are in your board packet. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Bell, second by Daly. Roll call, please.
Bell.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
Daly.
Yes.
Degler.
Yes.
Eads. Yes. Purdy. Yes. Sanders.
Yes.
Shook.
Yes.
Zuhon.
Yes.
And Metzger.
Yes. We have one appointment to the Eastern Illinois Economic Development Authority, that being Jeff Lahr. Which the dates here in just a moment. I thought it did. Maybe not. Yes, here we go. Until the third Monday of 2021. With advice and consent, roll call, please.
Bell.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
Daly.
Yes.
Degler.
Yes.
Eads. Yes. Purdy. Yes. Sanders.
Yes.
Shook.
Yes.
Zuhon.
Yes.
Metzger.
Yes. Next appointment is one appointment to the North Fork Conservancy District, Ron Simonton, until August 21st, 2022. With advice and consent, roll call, please.
Bell.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
Daly.
Yes.
Degler.
Yes.
Eads. Yes. Purdy. Yes. Sanders.
Yes.
Shook.
Yes.
Zuho,
Yes.
Metzger.
Yes. Committee reports. Ms. Purdy, Building and Grounds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Building and Grounds Committee met at 5:30 on July the 24th with the following members in attendance: Rick Shook, Mark Weber, and myself, Chairman presiding. Also attending were Monty Walters, Maintenance Supervisor, and Elaine Carpus-Camata, Administrative Assistant. Mr. Walters updated the members on the activities of the Maintenance Department. In old business, we were updated on the sale of the parking lot behind Rocks. In new business, Judge Schick requested that the county purchase a portrait of Abraham Lincoln for the courthouse. The Illinois State Historical Society is trying to place the picture in every courthouse in the state for Illinois' 200th anniversary. Mr. Weber moved to approve this request, seconded by Mr. Shook. And it passed unanimously with 2 absences, and the meeting adjourned at 5:45 on a motion by Mr. Shook, seconded by Mr. Weber.
Thank you. There was no Office and Rules Committee this month. 911 Board, Mr. Bell.
Yes, sir. The Emergency Telephone Systems Board meeting was called to order at 3 p.m. in the Coles County Emergency 911 Support. The approval for the May minutes, a motion was made by Baker and seconded by Cindy to approve the minutes as written. Motion carried. The current budget reports and percentage sheets were reviewed and discussed with the ETSB. Supplies and claims reviewed the bills, signed, and then submitted them for payment. The bills were reviewed with the ETSB. Moultrie County consolidation is completed, and an open house was held on June 28, 2017. There was no new business, no executive session. The next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 2nd, and a motion was made by Ensign and seconded by Rankin to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried.
Thank you. Finance Committee was called to order on July 25th, 2017 at 5 p.m. The following members present: Brandon Bell, Corey Sanders, Mike Zuhone, Stan Metzger, Chairman presiding. Brian Marvin was unable to attend. Also attending were George Edwards, Treasurer, and Lane Carpus-Camata, Administrative Assistant. In the Treasurer's update, Mr. Edwards updated the members on the activities of the Treasurer's Office. In old business, the members discussed the IMRF military buyback request, but no action was taken. In new business, the members were presented with 2 tax sale resolutions. Mr. Sanders moved forward these resolutions onto the county board. Motion was seconded by Bell and carried unanimously. Is there a motion to that effect here now? Motion by Bell, second by Zuhone. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Bell.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
Daly.
Yes.
Declan.
Yes.
Eads.
Yes.
Purdy.
Yes.
Sanders.
Yes.
Shook.
Yes.
Zuho,
Yes.
Metzger.
Yes. Miscellaneous business, the members set a tentative date for budget hearings for August 29th, 2017. The meeting adjourned at 5:15 p.m. on a motion by Zuhone and a second by Sanders. There was no Health and Safety Committee. Mr. Daly, the Insurance Committee report.
There was no insurance committee with the county, but I did attend the CIRMA quarterly meeting that was held July 27th, 2017 in Bloomington, Illinois. The mid-year financial reports were distributed. CIRMA reporting a good year with below number of claims filed and a strong financial report. Saying that, Coles County did have a claim, the Roby dial ride claim where the van was involved in that accident. That claim has been settled. And the Sanders, the Lonnie Lutz, and Steve Ferguson claim has been settled. So we are no longer, that lawsuit's taken care of. Donna Rogers, our human resources consultant, wanted to remind the counties and then to go back to your counties and remind all your department heads and elected officials that on September 1st that we have new I-9 forms that will be needed to use for new hires. 2 additional counties were extended invitation to join. They were Winnebago and McHenry. We presently have 20 counties in the pool, and those 2 counties will be a substantial. They are large counties. The next meeting will be held October 26th, but I've already got an email that the Doubletree will be unable to satisfy that date, so they moved the date to October 20th of 2017.
Concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. There was no Liquor Commission. There is no mental health notes to go through. Planning and Development also did not meet, is that correct?
No, no meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Zuhon, Public Health.
No meeting, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Zuhon, could you please read the Road and Bridge report?
I will, Mr. Chair. The Road and Bridge Committee was called to order at 5 p.m. on July 24th with the following members present. Paul Daly, Rick Shook, myself, and Mark Weber, Chair, presiding. Travis Coffey was unable to attend. Also attending were Rick Johnson, the county engineer, and Elaine Carpus-Camati, our administrative assistant. Old business, there was none. New business, the members were presented with a resolution to award a contract for bituminous leveling binder placement on County Highway 28 to Howell Asphalt in the amount of $134,068.76. Mr. Zuhon moved forward this resolution to the county board for approval. The motion was seconded by Mr. Daly, carried unanimous, and at this time, I bring the resolution forward.
Moved by Zuhon, is there a second by Daly? Any questions? Roll call, please.
Bell?
Yes.
Coffee?
Yes.
Daly?
Yes.
Degler?
Yes.
Eads?
Yes.
Purdy?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Shook?
Yes.
Zuhon?
Yes.
Metzger?
Yes.
The members were presented with a county bridge fund petition from North Oka Township for an addition of a 42-inch diameter ERS culvert, 30-foot long. Mr. Daly moved to forward this position to the county board for approval. The motion was seconded by Mr. Shook. Motion carried again unanimously, and at this time I move forward that resolution.
They're moved by Zuhon, is there a second? Second by Coffey. Questions? Roll call, please.
Bell?
Yes.
Coffee?
Yes.
Daly?
Yes.
Degler?
Yes.
Eads?
Yes.
Purdy?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Shook?
Yes.
Zuhon?
Yes.
Metzger?
Yes.
A resolution to name County Highway 18 at the I-57 interchange was presented to the members for consideration. Mr. Zuhon moved to forward this resolution to the board, seconded by Mr. Daly. Again, this carried unanimously, and at this time I move this resolution forward.
It's been moved by Zuhon, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Daly. Any questions or comments? Mr. Degler?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, thank you. Fellow board members, ladies and gentlemen. We've got an opportunity to change that name at County Highway 18 East County Road 1000 North. And the suggestion that has come out of committee, and I appreciate the committee doing the work, is the Enterprise Parkway. Every town in the United States has got an enterprise zone. And the name Enterprise has kind of been, you know, it's just kind of mundane and everybody's got one. And I don't feel that that really says anything about our county. Now, when you've got 50,000 people going up and down Interstate 57 every day, and one of them looks at the name Enterprise Parkway, I don't think it will encourage one person to pull out their computer and go, I wonder why they named it that. So that's why I don't encourage the board members to consider that name. Because we've got an opportunity to advertise to all those people going up and down the county and tell them, if we want to, something about our county. And Enterprise Zone doesn't do it. We've got an enterprise zone out here between the two counties right now. It doesn't seem to be attracting a lot of business. Some of our businesses moved out there, but I don't see a lot of new business coming in. So we've got another opportunity to create an enterprise zone out there. I'm all for enterprise. I'm all for spending money to change the name of something if it's a good name. But I just don't see Enterprise Parkway as filling in those things that I'm interested in. And of course it will cost taxpayer money to do that. And I personally would not take out my checkbook and write a check to change the name from East County Road 1000 North to Enterprise Parkway. So I would like to see board members consider voting against this.
Just to be clear, though, while it is tax money from somewhere, it's state tax money rather than county tax money.
Right. I understand we're not going to be picking up the tab here, but the taxpayers in general are going to be picking up the tab.
Mr. Chairman, Matt?
Mr. Shook.
I agree. If we're going to do something like this, let's put a sign up there that people can see it.
It's decorated a little bit. I know it's going to cost a little bit of money, but if the city of Mattoon and the city of Charleston, especially the city of Mattoon, wouldn't pay their firefighters so much, they might be able to have a little extra money to make a big sign. My personal opinion. Like we said, 50, 60,000 people going through there. They're going to be going about 80 miles an hour. I really don't think a little sign is going to do anything. Don't get me wrong, I really think that we need to do something around here. But I think maybe that a different sign, something will stand out a little bit more besides just something through the state. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Zuhon?
Yes, I'd like to speak in favor of this motion. The individuals, both in Mattoon and Charleston, have worked diligently to do this. It will be the beginning of conversations with individuals, possibly companies, to relocate here. Having some place to identify it rather than a rural road. Now, I'm a rural citizen. I love rural roads. But having an identifiable road that you can put on a business card, that you can say that we are part of this enterprise area. Not an enterprise zone, but this is where we're located. Is it going to be a beacon out there for everybody to flock to? Not at this moment. No, it's not. But the work between the city of Mattoon and Charleston to do this is a very good first step. So I speak in favor of this motion.
Thank you.
One more comment.
Please, Mr. Begwin.
I appreciate the work of the two cities to agree on this, and that's a wonderful thing. But what have we got here in the county that nobody else has got? You know, that's what I want to sell out there. What we have got in this county is, this is where the glacier melted, right? We're as far south as the good ground goes. So that means we've got the direct rays of the sun on the blackest dirt as far south in this country as it goes. So I want people going up and down that road to see a sign that says Eco Parkway or Green Earth Parkway or the Corn Beltway, or something that says that we've got, if you want to grow something, if you want to do research for your farms, if you want to grow seed, then you're going to get the most photosynthetic activity on the blackest ground of any place in the United States. And that's right here. And that's what Coles County has got that nobody else has got. So why don't we play to our strengths? Everybody's got an enterprise zone, but not everybody's got photosynthetic activity on the blackest ground in the world for the most number of days. And long term, 75 years from now, when we look back at that sign and it says Enterprise Parkway, our ancestors are going to go, boy, those guys really crunched the numbers to come up with that hot dog name, didn't they? You know? But if we come up with a name like Earth Belt or Green, and every business in the world these days, if they're not turning green in some way, if they're not greening up their industries, if they're not, you know, being more green, you know, they've got to have it to stay in business with people like, you know, the green idea, you know, the renewable, the sustainable. Maybe it's Sustainable Parkway, but it's something that sells what we do here.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Roll call, please.
Bell.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
Daly.
Yes.
Degler.
No.
Eads.
Yes.
Purdy.
Yes.
Sanders.
Yes.
Shook.
No.
Zuhon.
Yes.
Yes.
Metzger.
Mr. Johnson distributed the county engineer's report to the members. It is attached in your packet for this month. There was no miscellaneous business. The meeting adjourned at 5:10 on motion by Mr. Zuhon and a second by Mr. Davis.
Tell you what, I'm going to go back, and we rarely have contested votes, but that last motion did pass, just for clarity there. Thank you, Mr. Zuhon. Mr. Sanders, Sheriff and Law Enforcement.
No meeting, Mr. Chair.
Supplies and claims.
All bills approved and paid.
Okay. In old business, I'd like to go back and address some of the comments and concerns that were brought up last month at public comment. Specifically, there are 3 properties that were addressed for, excuse me, ma'am. There are 3 properties that were brought up with questions about the reassessment that was done to them. First off was 1517 Wabash, and I'm going to round the numbers, but they'll be fine. 2016 assessment was $120,000. The assessor's opinion of market value became $359,500. Board of Review action lowered this number to $142,000. Support of the Board of Review action was an appraisal by Joe Webster, MAI. In additional comments, the assessor's record showed average quality building functioning as a dentist office in average condition. The appraisal by Mr. Webster, MAI, showed that the building had been partially gutted and infested with mold. Mr. Frederick confirmed that the building had significant mold problems. Secondly, 901 Charleston Avenue. The 2016 assessment was just short of $142,000. The assessor's opinion was $425,000. The Board of Review action, there was no action taken. No support was given as to why the value should be lowered. Additional comments. The board noted a recent transfer in the amount of $242,500, which represented a 50% buyout of an owner of the building. Third property was no address assigned, but was with Keller Oil. The 2016 assessment was almost $26,000. The assessor's opinion of market value was just over $77,000. Board of Review lowered this to $36,600. Support for this action was a letter submitted discussing contamination of tanks. Our supervisor assessor reduced this land to waste value allowed by the state of Illinois. Is there any new business? Any miscellaneous business? Ms. Eads?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to address something this evening that has concerned me for several months now. I have been singled out by members of the attending audience because I am the longest running elected member of this county board and told that due to that tenure, I should be off the board. I wish to talk about my service to this county now. I will have served 19 years, truly, September 2017. That is a total of 228 meetings. I have missed 2 total, attending 226 of the 228 of that number by planning surgeries and vacations around this commitment. This does not count hundreds of committee meetings and extra meetings of entities served by this board. I have served 3 years as vice chairman and 3 years as the first woman chairman of this county board. I have chaired finance and spent hours and days to create budgets that are fair and equitable to each department in this county. I have, as finance chair and county board chair, negotiated sheriff's deputy salaries that ran into days, months, and sometimes into years of service. I have traveled to Effingham for the Workforce Investment Board on snow and ice to find ways to help jobless workers in this county find a job. I have created a committee of elected officials to find fair and equitable insurance for all of our employees. I have, as a member of the Coals Together, given a personal check to try to help get future Jen here. I have sat for 40 hours as a planning commissioner at Eastern Illinois University and heard everything about lactate and liners for landfills to make an educated decision on that proposition. I passed 2 courses given by Tom Watson, the previous ESDA director, for the National Incident Management System, and did tabletop exercises with all of the county law enforcement officials in case of a tornado or another disaster in this county, as the board chairman is the first in command for a disaster in this county. I have negotiated bond renewal rates. As public building commissioner, I have voted against 10-year tax abatements for big business. During the last election, I received 1,076 votes from my district. Are they wrong or ill-informed? No, they're not. They know me to be a hardworking person on their behalf, and that is always, they know that they can always call on me to help or answer questions, such as dogs chasing bicycles in the county, the poor farm, cemetery, noise from the speedway, or their reasons against county zoning. All of these while running a full-time business, serving my church, and talking with my family and taking care of them. I believe that if you think experience doesn't count, you should think again. If you feel this way about me, do you criticize teachers, pastors, priests, or long-serving business owners like yourselves? In the words of an old Elvis song, before you abuse, criticize, or accuse, walk a mile in my shoes.
Thank you, Ms. Eads. Is there any other miscellaneous business? No reason for executive session this evening. I have several appointments to announce. One appointment to Brewster Rice Drainage District. One appointment to the Coles Clark Drainage District. One appointment to the Drainage District number 2 of Mattoon. One appointment to Consolidated Drainage District number 4-12 of North Oak. One appointment to the Holman Mutual Drainage District. One appointment to Kickapoo Drainage District. One appointment to the Little Wabash Drainage District. One appointment to the Loxa Drainage District. One appointment to the Majors Drainage District. One appointment to Shellhammer Drainage District. One appointment to Drainage District number 1 of Mattoon and Whitley. Come on, time now for public comment. Just a reminder, public comment will be limited to 30 minutes, and I'd like to hold it to 3 minutes per speaker, please. John Kraft, you have the floor.
Good afternoon. Before I start talking, and I mean no disrespect by saying this at all, I don't know you, I don't know what you've done, but I will comment that, there's reasons that people advocate for term limits. And if you look at the financial conditions of the state of Illinois, who's been running the House for more than 4 decades, you know what the reason is for term limits. And I don't suggest that you resign. I'm not here to tell you that. I'm just saying I had to make that comment. So I'm going to recap a little bit on the hiring or contracting of Mr. Becker. I remember the first time I came to a meeting, he was contracted. He was a contracted person to go around and assess real estate. And then we talked about how the state, the supervisor of assessments didn't have the authority to contract anybody to do her job. And then a meeting later, 2 meetings later, all of a sudden, no, he's an employee. Then we looked up that and we wrote about how the supervisor of assessments could not hire an employee without a vote from the county board, and the county board setting his compensation. Then we talked about the point that he was getting a W-2. He was not getting a W-2. He was invoicing the county. And employees typically don't invoice employers for their normal work. Then we pointed out that he didn't comply with the coursework he promised to complete. At the time he was assessing property. And now we find out that part of his agreement was that he would not assess his own real estate. We've got documents and emails that either he assessed it or he provided the data to the supervisor of assessment so she could assess it. But regardless, the comparable data came from him. It didn't come from an independent party. So, being a long-term county board member, you would think with a person not properly contracted, not properly hired, and providing data for his own assessment, you want that looked into. Finally, Mr. Daly, I wasn't here at the last meeting, but he did a fine job trying to make a citizen look like a fool by you claiming he was talking about something that you thought was a township issue and not a county issue. Well, you're the one who looks like a fool because you were wrong. His comments...
He was talking about Old State
Road. His comments...
He talked about Old State Road.
I'm talking, not you. I've got the floor. His comments were about a county road.
Excuse me, could we not call people fools in this meeting, please?
I can call people whatever I want to call them.
I don't think
I've
so.
got a First Amendment right. He acted like a fool, and his comments were foolish at the
But
last
we are a
meeting.
professional quorum here.
I've got the floor, so be professional and let me have the floor. How about that? Your comments were wrong, and you're the only one that did not come to me prepared since the road in question was a county road and not a township road. Please apologize.
Next up, Mr. Donasso.
I got a few things here that I want to talk about. I appreciate the discussion about the sign and possibly saving taxpayer money, but you know, if this board was really concerned about the enterprise of this county, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing with commercial industrial property owners here. Because the easiest way to run off business is to raise taxes that are regressive. So you can call that sign whatever you want, Golden Green Avenue or whatever. It's not going to help commerce or enterprise one bit. Okay? So the real issue is what we've been bringing to the table for the last 8 months and we've been ignoring. And I just want to say something, follow up with Mr. Kraft, just to be very clear on something. You know, we've got plenty of documentation from several emails of people sitting here discussing. Your email names are on there concerning the employment status of Mr. Bob Becker, and you all have said he was a contracted person, not a supervisor of assessments employee. We've got it. It's overwhelming. So we are filing a complaint with the Internal Revenue Service Treasury Inspector General, and your supervisor assessment will be getting a call from them, and they will clarify just exactly whether or not Mr. Becker was hired by the supervisor assessment or whether he was a contracted employee by this board. We've got 1099s and invoices. Any business person in this room knows that that is not an employee. You only change that status of his employment, so-called, when you found out you didn't have the legal authority to hire him in the first place. So if the IRS determines that he was a contracted employee by the board, which we know he was, then what's going to happen is the Supervisor Assessment's Office is going to be in trouble for not failing to report the employment, income, and tax liability property, and also failure to file required federal tax return documents and forms. So you put yourself in a corner. But that's not really, I just want to say, that's not really what I want to talk about. There's been a pattern of misleading the taxpayers since I've been here for 8 months. And every time I get up here, I've made it very clear that everything I say, I can document. And so I don't just get up here and talk for the sake of trying to bring somebody down or to be mean-spirited. I'm here because I can back up what I say with facts. I'm very, very disappointed in the Office and Rules Committee, especially members that were on the Office and Rules Committee in 2015 and 2016, because you played a large part in this commercial reassessment. And what I like to say is you have misled us at meetings and you're on record saying, and we're going to play a video here, a 10-second video, so you can hear for your own voice what you said. You misled us in what you said, that the supervisor assessment is doing their job. We're going to let it run its course. We have no ideas what the new valuations are. We have no idea what the effect's going to be on the AV. You know, sometimes you were talking about how some properties might go up, some might be going down. Come to find out through FOIA requests that you knew the whole time what was going on. And Mr. Daly and Mr. Sanders and even Mr. Chairman Metzger, you said you guys don't see the numbers. In fact, Mr. Metzger, you said for political reasons we're not allowed to see those numbers, so as the and you'll see here in a minute, so as to not politicize the supervisor assessment's office. Mr. Daly said himself, we're not allowed to see those numbers. Come to find out, you all saw those numbers. I've got the documentation. Play the video, please, Mike. Here's what you said.
You're not going to angry taxpayers because you know what? You're asking us.
Mr. Sanders. Okay, a couple things. I didn't see that list until it was already published, I believe, and already in. So I agree. I would look that list.
Why? Why didn't you see that list?
I don't know why I didn't see it.
Well, it said the county board. It said so.
And the one that I had.
Because Corey, it comes from the assessor's office, and that eliminates political control over the assessment.
Okay, there's the answer. I didn't look at it either.
So none of you county board members even looked at any of the assessments or understood what was going on.
We are separate from the assessor's office.
And that's the case. If that's
All right. So come to find out, on October 3rd meeting, 2016, of the Office and Rules Committee meeting, Mr. Becker came up and provided an update on the industrial properties. If you put that up there, Mike, you can blow that up. And what he showed, if you go to the next slide, is he's given the top 10 largest change in dollars, and he lists properties, nursing home, change in dollars, $2,929,740. He lists an office, change in dollars, $1,024,269. Office, $681,000, 474. It goes on and on for 10. Then he talks about the top 10 largest changes in percentage. A parking lot went up 3,191%. Boy, I wouldn't be upset if I was that parking lot owner. Another parking lot went up 1,970%. Another parking lot went up 1,347%. A car dealer, 938%. On and on and on. Then he gives information on how this affects the AV and also the market value of the properties. And then we come months later and ask you whether or not you knew that these crazy changes were occurring in the properties, and you all sat there silent and claimed you didn't know.
That's not true. Why don't you listen to your own video?
I listened to the video.
I said until they were already in the papers what we were talking about. Listen to your own video.
This was presented
after the fact.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it
no, it wasn't, Mr.
Those aren't individual.
October 3rd, 2016.
Okay, get your 3 minutes out and I'll talk. Go and get your 3 minutes.
October 3rd, 2016. That was the May 9th meeting of next year.
No,
okay?
I'm making the point is we didn't see them until after they were in the. Those aren't breaking.
We were talking about the crazy changes that we were recognizing in assessed values, and you claimed we don't know anything about it.
We don't know individual. We didn't know individual properties. What I said.
Let me ask you this much: if Mr. Becker is working for the supervisor assessment office, why is he presenting to your committee before he's even done with the assessment? And another thing that I have a question about, and I didn't know if I had time to bring this up, but your committee...
As the assessor comes to our Office and Rules meeting and gives us an update of what's going on.
I have an email here between Mr. Lockhart and you, and in that email, you're talking about Tyler Technologies, and they put in a bid for $80,000 to do the work that Mr. Becker was going to do. Mr. Becker put in a bid for $115,000. It says right here, I'll read it. I followed up with Tyler Tech, a bid of $80,000.
Who's saying this? You said I was saying
this. This is Kelly Lockhart to you.
Okay, but it's not me saying it, it's him saying it.
But you respond.
Just want to confirm.
So I just want to read this so everyone understands what's going on. I followed up with Tyler Tech, a bid of $80,000 concerning the commercial reassessment. Apparently, they are offering all model data they create based on local sales of the past few years. They are pretty much giving us the same thing that Bob Becker plans on giving us. And then there's a little bit more to the letter. I won't read. It's not pertinent. Then this says, lastly, I think we should allow them to come to the Office and Rules Committee meeting under 4 so that the committee can question them in the same way we did Bob. What do you think? And your reply was, that's great. It's a great idea to have them reprice and come to the meeting. If it's apples for apples, 35,000 is a big savings. That 35,000 is the difference between Mr. Becker's bid and Tyler Tech's bid.
Right.
So why, before the employment of Mr. Becker, if he's supposedly being hired by Karen Biddle's office, the supervisor assessment, is he coming in front of the Office and Rules Committee to make a pitch for employment? Here's my disappointment. You knew, Corey, you knew, Mr. Daly knew, Mr. Bell knew, and the other people on that committee knew that he was not an that he was an independent contractor. He was not hired by the supervisor assessment, and yet you sat here while a supervisor of assessment lied to us and made up the story that he was somehow employed by them, and you said nothing. Is that the kind of leadership we want? We want our board to lie and other people to cover up for it? Because that's exactly what happened.
I said nothing, or we just showed, I talked a lot in that meeting right there. For
Just that meeting had nothing to do with Mr.
You said I haven't said
Becker's
anything. There's many, you've
I'm talking
Okay,
specifically about Mr. Becker.
Mr. Dawson,
I mean,
you're
it's just-
approaching, well, you're about 8.5 minutes. How much more do you need?
Couple more minutes.
Okay.
Another
I'm gonna
thing
go back.
I
I'm
want
gonna,
to say.
I'll give you a couple more minutes, but I'm going to go back and address one thing here. The Tyler Tech number,
Yes, the 80,000?
they were working on ProVal.
Yes, I know.
And we used DevNet, or we've switched to
I
Dev.
know you did.
So their bid was not apples for apples. That's why it was never accepted.
My point was not the $35,000. My point was that Mr. Becker was going in front of the Office and Rules Committee making a pitch for employment. That's why this is pertinent. It has nothing to do with the $80,000 or the $115,000. What I'm saying is, you knew that he was not hired by the supervisor assessment. This is a creative story to make the law fit your actions, and it didn't work. I have one other thing to say, too.
2 minutes.
One other thing to say. That meeting also was not published. I've got the copy of the, somewhere in here, I've got the copy of the board's lack of publishing that meeting was on record. And so that was never there for the taxpayer to come. And then I know this is going to segue into what Rob has to say. There was another meeting on February 23rd, 2015, in which all the taxing bodies, not all the taxing, but the major taxing bodies in the county were invited to for your Office and Rules Committee meeting. And that was not posted either. You know who was there? Board of Review members were there. The county taxing bodies were there. The chairman of the board was there. The taxpayer was not even invited. It was at, I believe, 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning on that, I believe it was a Tuesday. And I got the documentation. So you got everybody involved in the process coming to a meeting. It's not posted, and yet the taxpayer's not there.
So you're saying it wasn't posted anywhere?
That's not true. The
Yeah.
meeting,
It's right here.
the
I've got it
meeting was
done.
posted.
It was posted.
It was
No,
posted
it's
in
not.
early February.
You said that
The
about
agenda was mailed
4 or
out
5 times.
at a bare minimum of 48 hours, and longer than that.
To the paper.
It was done, including 4 media outlets: Times Courier, WCIA,
We've got the email showing.
WEIU.
Yeah,
It was published.
yeah. It was
Just
on
the
your
way it's
website?
supposed to be.
Is that what you said? And
Excuse
the minutes were on your website? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say anything
And
about
it
you
was
said it
posted
wasn't
on your
So
published.
it's just the
agenda
website,
was
it's not
published.
everything else we've done, just the website. You're hinging all this on, because it wasn't on the website.
Okay.
Even though we did it
All right,
everywhere else.
maybe it was posted.
Okay, well, you said it wasn't,
Maybe
then.
it was, but it's not on here.
You
It's not
said
here.
it, you said it was, I mean,
I've
that's
got a
what
copy of our 2015 meetings right here. It is not posted. Committee meetings, not here.
You
So
are
it's not
trying to
posted.
mislead, I'm sorry,
It's
but
just
you're trying to
misleading.
mislead everybody.
now you're
trying
saying,
to
well, maybe it was
mislead anybody.
posted. Well, you've been saying that for 6
Well,
months.
Okay, hey,
you're
let's,
saying it's in the paper.
I mean, don't.
That's been 2
This
minutes.
is the documents I had.
Okay, well,
This is
you don't have all the
documents
documents
I
then,
had.
I guess.
But that still doesn't change the fact that you guys knew that the supervisor assessment was lying. You knew it.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
you lied.
Thank you, Mr. Nosso. Mr. Perry, it's your turn.
I want to talk a little bit about what you said earlier about those 3 appraisals. I really don't have a problem dealing with what you're telling and sharing with folks here. But I want to share with you what's really bad about this reassessment issue. It's not so much that the Board of Review fixed it. The problem is the numbers on top are stupid. So what I did for you this evening was bring you one of my own personal pieces of paper and a property that I own, okay? I built this brand new in 2000. It was built and put on the tax rolls through the Marshall and Swift that you use with the Board of Review and the Supervisor's Assessment Office. Okay? When I get this in the mail telling me that reassessments occurred, he's telling me that building was on at $72,730. You take that times 3, it's around $210,000, okay? And when he got done with his reassessment, it went to $434,450. See, the problem with what all you're talking about is the top number is stupid and ballistic. Because when I got the appraisal, it was about $220,000 or $30,000. So what you did, and we're going to talk about it real quick, is about what you're doing. And I want to explain to you why I'm going to say what I'm going to say, because you've been real secretive about what you're doing. We started out asking for computations and calculations to figure out why in the world something would go up to $434,000 when it was put on the rolls in 2000. Now I can guarantee you, after I get an appraisal and it's not worth it, there's something wrong with your numbers. These are fake numbers. Believe it or not, they're fake numbers. And all I'm asking you to do is genuinely tell me how you arrived at the fake number. We FOIA requested it 3 or 4 times. We don't get anywhere. You don't fess up. So, I'm going to give you my interpretation of what you've done. And maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm right. I think it's worth for you to listen to. First and foremost, the numbers, and I started 9 months ago looking at these numbers, trying to figure it out. I can't figure it out. And what's all based about and what we're talking about is EAB, because that's where this is going. We know that you were after a number with EAB. There's something about magical mystery about a bigger EAB for everybody. And what we watched you do is completely not tell us anything about what happened. I'm still wanting to know what the number was or the computations and calculations so I can verify maybe I'm wrong. So in order to make this work, I'm going to go through the fake numbers, what I'm telling you. First and foremost, you had to go with the cost method. I don't know how else he could have arrived at any kind of big number like that unless he was using cost method. That would have propelled those numbers to be gigantic and jump clear out of the screen. They're too high. The other thing is, when we got it, Corey, when we come in here and talk to you, I'm going to point this to you because you were nice enough to say, go through the motions and go through the board of review and let them take a look at it and let it run its course. Most people did that. I did that. And some people were taken care of and some weren't. Some people got their things lowered some people got their things not lowered at all. So we've got an inequity when it comes to the people in the board of review for the things that they did. I want to take this a little further to a piece of paper I have from this is from Heather Kuykendall. And this was on a PowerPoint situation that she put up for some of the taxing bodies at one of your meetings. And I don't know who was there, but I want to read you a few things off of this. It says impact on the city of Charleston. It says S&P ratings. In our view, the city's economy is weak overall. Per capita market value is $25,700, which what that says is that the average market value of a residence in that town in Charleston is $25,700, which we view negatively because it's below $30,000. So we know that if you don't get above $30,000, you get a negative approach towards the S&P rating. We know that. It's right here. Then she goes on and says the legal debt margin is 8.625% of the assessed valuations. That would be what the minimum requirement is for you to be able to get the cities or the schools to bond up to borrow money. So what I think this has been, folks, is nothing more than a game to raise the EAB to where that 8.625 is greater than what it is. You hired a guy that couldn't appraise, didn't have the right things in his hands to become the appraiser to begin with, and you steered him to do whatever he did, okay? So now, where are we at? We've got a bunch of fake numbers that don't work. Okay, we've got stuff that's on the books that's crazy. I'm one of the recipients of some of these fake numbers, and all you had to do was come clean with us and tell us what you're doing. All I want to know is what you did. Why is it so secretive? Don't we deserve an honest answer? just an honest answer how those numbers were arrived at?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Okay, you know this because you're on the board of review for how many years?
2.5 years.
2.5 years, okay. So,
And we've got some stuff I want you to see from the Board of Review.
I watched it all. But I'll watch it.
Some of
I'll
all
watch
these
it
people
again.
have not seen it.
I got you. So you know how the process works.
I do.
You know there's 3 approaches, correct?
I do.
So you don't know, you know it's got to be one of those 3 approaches, right? I'm not an appraiser, but I mean, I just know as much as probably you know about it.
This building's 17, 18 years of age.
Okay.
It's not worth $438,000.
What property is it?
It's a corner business
Tell me the
location.
business location. Do you mind to tell me what it is?
It's an office complex.
What's the address?
I don't know. 500 Lakeland Boulevard. Does that matter? It's on Lakeland
Sure it does. It
Boulevard.
makes a big difference where it's at. I mean,
Okay,
most
you're
yeah.
a real estate guy,
Sure.
but the point I'm telling you, that number doesn't coexist with anything close to what the appraiser said it was worth. That's the problem. You got numbers that are gigantically high, and then somebody comes in and you give them a 20% discount, they walk
What
away
number did
thinking
your
they've done. I told you.
approach did your appraisal use? Do you know what approach he used?
I don't know. I'm going to guess that all 3 of them have to be pretty close.
I would think
Because
that.
that's the game. So we jumped from 438 down to 230.
Did it come down to? Did it come
Now
down
hold
to?
it. Your guy said it was worth 438.
My guy?
Yeah, your guy that you guys hired. Your guy says it's worth 438. It's not worth 438.
So what-
It's worth $230,000.
So did they come down to your 230?
Of course he did, but that's not the point. You got stupid numbers to begin with.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing with that, but
Why are you doing that?
I'm not doing anything.
Well, why are you
First of all,
allowing this to go on?
Listen to me. The process worked, correct? So you went to the board of review and it went down.
The process is flawed because there should never have been numbers that high to begin with.
Okay, is it flawed because for the last 16 years some of them have been too low, some of them have been too high? I mean,
You guys go back
the
to
government
this 16
government is
years.
flawed.
Let's go
Government
back
is
to
flawed.
that. Let's go back to that. You said 16 years. You stamped and verified it for 16 years that they were true
Guys,
and
you're saying the
correct.
same stuff over and over again. We talked about all that, man.
That's true,
We've
but
all
you
talked
did
about
that.
all that. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about all
But
that.
even after 16 years and I get an appraisal that's nowhere near that number. Don't
Okay,
you
my
get the
question to you,
difference?
you were...
We're wasting a lot of time.
One more second. I want to ask you one thing. You think it's a problem for 16 years this wasn't done, correct? You think it was ridiculous that it didn't get done in 16 years?
No, I'm not saying
Yes or
that.
no?
What I'm trying to tell you is that the numbers...
I'm
that
not
you're
saying the
quoting
numbers.
are
I'm
not
asking
right.
you, was it ridiculous that it's taken 16 years to get this right?
It's still not right.
Come on, man.
Come on,
Answer my
man.
question.
It's not right.
Okay.
Let's move forward to review meeting and just ask for a simple place to where this could be found within the manual, because I never recollected any kind of a rent formula ever being discussed. And as we go through this, we find out that the rent formula that he's using is 20 years old and he doesn't know where it comes from. And as you look through and watch what's going on, the rent formula is something that was composed in the county board room, okay? I don't know. I can tell you that when I served on the board of review, Gene Tipsford refused to use it because it wasn't right. So now all of a sudden, we're using a rent formula that doesn't make any sense and it's not qualified through the Department of Revenue. So here we go. We got somebody on the board of review that just takes it upon themselves to figure out that they got a rent formula that works, one size fits all. I got a problem with that.
Okay, Mr. Perry, that's 10 minutes. We're going to have to call
We're
stop
done?
on that. Yeah.
Well, I'm not real done because I'm not real
I know,
happy
but
that...
we
I'll go
got
ahead
30
and
minutes
take
public
this, but you know
comment,
what?
limited to 3
You know what
minutes
you're
per
doing? You're
person,
squelching
and you're
people.
infringing on Mr. Dukeman's rights to speak.
You're wrong. That's what's wrong with this board.
Mr. Dukeman, you're next.
Okay, well, last month I came to the board meeting and asked a simple question about how the county could afford to asphalt country roads. At that time, I was rudely interrupted by Mr. Daly. He stated if I'd done my homework, I would already know the answer. Well, I feel, as a taxpayer, my question should have been answered without him trying to belittle me. He never asked which road I was even referring to. So once again, I'm going to ask that same question. How can the county afford to pave county or country roads?
You already know the answer.
You already
I'm
gave us-
asking you, Mr. Daly, to go ahead and give me that answer.
You asked Mr. Johnson just today how the county
No,
can
I didn't
afford.
speak to Mr. Johnson today. So I'm
Yesterday.
asking
All
you.
right, yesterday. You're splitting hairs. You asked yesterday, you went in, and he explained it to you.
So what you're saying is that last month, when you interrupted
No.
me, that you didn't ask a
You
question.
were asking
and
about
therefore
the
you
old
didn't know what
state
you were
road.
talking about.
You live out on
It
the
is
old
a-
state road.
I don't, yes, I was
You asked
referring
about-
to
all right.
that old state road. I was
Well-
referring to the property, the road that runs right beside the Charleston Country Club that goes out to Owen Motors. You didn't ask that question. It's County
You
Highway
assumed-
7. Is that correct?
That is Mr. Johnson's road. That's the county road. That was his maintenance. We passed his budget. He had $600,000 to work with. And you know that is funds. Why do you bring the roads in?
I
that's
ride
what-
that road an awful lot. That's why I brought it up.
Well, why
I'm
bring it
happy
up
to
in a
question.
discussion about property tax when it has nothing to do with
I
property tax?
told you ahead of time that it had
You
nothing
brought
to do
the
with
first question out of your mouth was, how much debt? How much debt the county have?
Paul, let's hang on here. If I can just suggest something, we publish our agenda, and I'll hit pause on your time here. We publish committee meetings, every month, virtually every month. If you guys could come, if the citizens would want to come to our committee meetings and get these issues brought up there, then we'd have time to deal with them in committee and come back here. If you want to ask your questions at a public forum, that's great, and we would be happy to let you ask those questions at a public forum, and then we can give you an accurate answer to an accurate question. That way there wouldn't be these confusions about misinterpreting what road you're talking about or not being clear what road you're talking about. So let's try to work together here to actually get some solutions. And maybe, just a second, and maybe we can quit playing gotcha games and actually get down to dealing with some issues if we want answers, and dealing with some issues to try to solve some things. Okay?
While he's still on pause, if I could also point out, just from the basic sense of courtesy, and this goes all the way across the board, even to you county board members, if one person is talking, we wait until that is over with. It does not do any good whatsoever to have people speaking on each other or interrupting. We have a disagreement, but there is no reason in the world why we cannot civilly address that disagreement.
I agree.
Thank you.
But
Okay.
the question,
Go ahead.
the thing that I had to say about that, if I was not on this here with this group of other concerned taxpayers in Coles County, he would have never said that to anyone else in this room. Would you agree to that?
Let's go on.
So I did get my answer, and I did find out. I did do my homework, Mr. Daly, and you know that I did find out. But I wanted everyone else in the room to also know about the road I was speaking of, and that I did have a legitimate question asking about where the dollars came from, how we could afford it. So therefore, in the future, I would hope that this board would have a little bit of respect for the people coming into this room. If they ask a simple question, they should get an answer, but they should not be belittled at all.
I'm all for respect, and I agree with that, but we're the ones being called all the names, and liars, and thief, and corrupt, and colluding.
You stated-
No, wait, let me
Let's
talk.
go on.
Let's
don't get into that,
So,
okay?
let's do it on both sides, totally agree. Let's all be adults and try to talk through these things. Absolutely. 100% agree with what you're saying, but we're the ones being attacked here on most of the issues here. So,
Thank you.
for your
Okay,
question.
I've got two more here.
If the law hadn't been violated, we would not even be here.
See what I mean?
Mr. Stodden, would you like to speak tonight?
Well, I think it's good that we talk about these things. People raise their voice a little. It ain't the end of the world. I would like to just say that I kind of like to use the word we're brethren. We're all in this together. And I think the issue is what we're talking about here is equal protection under the law. pretty evident that we have a problem here with assessment. And so we can go on and on about that. We have this pledge of allegiance and to the republic for which it stands. People quote it. I don't know how much it means to a lot of people anymore. I've been around for, I was, way back in 1970, I met a man. He said, you know, you should do this and this, and I said, no, I didn't do that. From then on, I started looking into government, and I've learned some things, so forth. This amendment, I think, is that right? I don't know for sure. I think it's the 14th Amendment. So we've got the courts, we've got the law sorted out. I think time will resolve a lot of these issues, and I think it is about time that we come to these meetings. And you know what? It ain't always going to be pleasant. We just will get used to it. There's something wrong. There is something wrong here. It's about time it's rectified. And there's more, as an old saying, after it was all said and done, there was more said than done. It's time to get something done.
Thank you. Mr. Allen, you still wish to speak?
Thank you, Chairman. Appreciate it. I'm going to show you how to make some money. Listen up. You may have some questions. As a local government accountability organization, we've pretty much seen it all when it comes to problems within local government, from incompetence, malfeasance, misconduct. After watching the video from last meeting, which unfortunately couldn't be here, I have to now add arrogance to that list. Mr. Daly, you berated the citizen claiming they didn't know what they were talking about and advised them they should come to your committee meetings to see how things are done. Let's discuss how things are done in Coles County. You talked about how you work for the people and are going through the process. I appreciate that. Please tell the public what process is being done or going through for the following issues brought to this board's attention over the last roughly 8 months. What steps are taken to recover the ETSB funds paid to a private law firm? What steps are being done regarding an intergovernmental agreement with ETSB, which is not a public body politic, that you can't enter a governmental agreement with yourself? Selling guns in direct violation of court orders for them to be destroyed. Failing to provide all the required information in the property tax publication. Let me tell you what I know, and all without attending one of those meetings. Instructing the paper to print the property tax notifications as small as possible to keep the cost down, all while the law requires a font size no less than 11 is a violation of law. 5.5 font size does not cut it. Notifying a person who submitted a bid that they need to change the bid to include more details, and they comply with that and are awarded the contract, smells like bid rigging. Lying to the public by claiming Becker's an employee. I think everybody covered that pretty well. We all know he was an employee. This one is where you'll make some money. Lying on property tax documents claiming the land is not being leased. Thus, no property tax being collected when in fact it is being leased by private business. How is it that we can identify farm ground not being taxed by this county and public bodies filing false documents, but your own full-time tax-funded employees don't catch it? I could go on. The time is limited. I'll respect that. 55 ILCS 5/3-6020, section 3-6020, contempt of court. The disobedience of any sheriff to perform the command of any order legally issued to him or her shall be deemed a contempt of the court. He or she shall be liable to the party aggrieved for all damages occasioned thereby. When a single gun sold in violation of a court order is tied to bodily harm, this county is going to be liable just as the statute outlines. Doing nothing to recover those particular guns is malfeasance, as you're knowingly placing the county in a position of liability, as court orders were ignored by your past sheriff, and your state's attorney is doing nothing to recover those